Okay, we'll start with public comments. Does anyone have any public comments?
Is that me?
Yes.
Well, it's so nice to be in the public for a change. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm here to talk about whether or not to go with Summer Sounds this season, and I think I'm going to recommend that we not do it. Rotary Expo is already postponed and now canceled. The 18th annual farewell reunion coming up is going to happen online. Dairy Days is out. Bay Day has been put off. The summer evenings at the Meeting House are done. The Opera House voted to cancel its entire 2020 season. Young Tradition events are looking like they're disappearing as well. So even though it looks like the state is starting to open up a little bit, right now, I think it's small gatherings of 10 or fewer are allowed. But I'm nervous about projecting singers into an audience of really primarily older residents. And it makes me nervous between the singing, the fact that social distancing will be difficult, and we usually serve food, and that's another for an outdoor event, I think. So if, with your permission, I'd say let's go ahead and cancel it.
Okay, and as unfortunate as that is, we do understand. But as this was supposed to be your farewell year, that's unfortunate.
Well, I'll make a deal with you. I don't want to go out on a whimper this way, so next year I think we'll be okay to crank it up and get going. And maybe we'll get lucky. We'll be able to do both my finale and introduce somebody new to be, a new me to take over. And that sounds like a pretty good idea.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, we don't want you to go out on a whimper. You've done such a great job.
Well, I've had a lot of fun with it, as you probably all know.
Okay.
One thing I would like to do, if this is all right with you, we're an arts council, so our desire is hi, Richard.
Hi, how's it going?
Our desire is to support the artists, so I'm planning to pay a kill fee. Could I maybe? I've got about half the season already booked. So could I maybe count on the town to split that with me? We've got some spare money in the Arts Council, and I'll pay some of it. Maybe you guys could pay the other half.
If your $3,000 appropriation check is sitting on my desk.
I would turn that back to you guys anyway. Either that, or if you want me to, I'll just keep it for next year. But I think I'd rather have it in your books than mine.
It's the taxpayers voted to give it to the All Arts Council. So
Okay.
I was waiting for you to return to Florida before I mailed it.
Okay. Well, I'm here down south, so if you don't mind keeping it on your desk for a little longer, we'll straighten that out.
Okay.
So that means next year I won't ask for nearly as much money.
It's already been approved. It was approved at town meeting. So
No, I mean for next year I won't ask for as much.
Oh, hi, Jim. Jim Harrison's joining us.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Jim.
So,
Richard, do you still have the phone line open, Richard? Because I'm getting your conversation twice. Is that possible?
Are you still? It's hung up.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
so do we still have a quorum, Heidi?
You do.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure.
Bruce is with us now. Richard's with us. You. Randy.
Um,
We're still missing Kyle.
Wendy, are you on right now?
Yes.
Yes,
Um,
I'm here. I'm here.
Did you just get a phone call about the municipal office?
No.
We just had a burglary alarm.
I didn't get a phone call.
Okay.
I didn't get anything.
Someone show up to the wrong spot for the meeting.
I don't know.
Pounding on the door. Oh. Do you want me to send a text to Butch and see if he can go over there?
Yeah, somebody should check it.
You want me to run down there?
Yeah, would you, Keith?
Sure, I'll get right back to you in a minute.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of an odd happenstance, but okay.
Nothing. Oh,
There's
yeah,
the
got it.
call.
I'm going to mute for a second because my phone is ringing in the background.
Sharon, are you there?
I am, yes.
Are you gonna need a motion on that to cancel the super sounds?
Well, I don't know if we really need a motion because frankly, that's Dick's purview. So if he says we need to cancel, we unfortunately.
We're just gonna cancel?
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, and he, you know, I would like a motion though, you know, to just prove that we know that his appropriation is still going to go forward. So if I can have a motion for that.
I'll make that.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dick.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry to have to give this kind of bad news, but I think we're doing the right thing for a change.
Okay, well, we appreciate what you do for us, and I know there'll be a lot of unhappy campers, but we'll give them a hell of a show next year.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good
Thank
meeting.
you.
Take
Yeah,
care,
you too.
Dick.
Nick. You.
Bye, Richard. Be safe.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye, Lynn.
so do we have Tim Smith online, Heidi?
I believe Tim is with us.
I am, yes.
Hey, Tim.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you for making time on the agenda. Heidi, appreciate it. For some who may not be familiar, I'm Tim Smith with Franklin County Industrial Development, and I reach out to all the select boards. I try to get to all the boards with once a year, and obviously we're in different circumstances, so I've been doing them by Zoom. But basically, I just want to update boards as to economic activity around the county, or maybe in this case, lack of. So let me begin with, basically, we've been serving as a conduit for all of the COVID information with the CARES Act coming through. And then on the state level, we try to educate and get the word out to as many businesses as we can. And we try to scrutinize what that information is and then disperse it accordingly. So we have a number of different email lists that we send information to. One does include all the municipalities. We've sent emails out regarding the WIC program and other food services, along with a number of other emails. And then we have the Diversified Ag group. So through Healthy Roots, we just disperse a lot of information relative to Diversified Ag. We have the downtown group, so we send information through Elizabeth Nance to Swanton, local chamber, the local downtown board, as well as Sean Coy up in Enosburg. So we try to disperse as many outlets as possible. And then the last one we send it to is a manufacturing list. So all the manufacturers, we try to educate as to different opportunities as well. And then on top of that, everyone who contacted the state for help, it didn't matter if it was a hairdresser or a landscaping business, we received that list from the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. I think we were up around 75 to 100 of those businesses had contacted the state. They forwarded the names to us, and we being Connie Burns, myself, and Elizabeth have been reaching out to all of those businesses to see how we might assist. I would say we don't always have the answer, but we usually find the answer to the questions. As you might guess, a lot of those questions were focused on the payroll protection plan and unemployment. And I would like to give a shout out for the legislators in the region. If we've had a tough unemployment situation, we forwarded that to some of the legislators, and they've been able to track down payments or checks. So they've been working with us as well. We've also, we were recruited to assist. Pam Cross is a local individual who has recruited many individuals throughout the county to make cloth masks. And she and her team have distributed well over 8,000.
Wow.
At no cost. They do take donations, but they do not charge. I actually dropped 50 off to Wendy in Highgate. Wendy, I'm assuming you got those. So Pam reached out to us. Her first focus was the healthcare institutions, whether it was a hospital, notch, senior care homes, home health. That was her first focus. She got all the masks out to them, and then she reached out to FCIDC to see if we could reach out to the businesses, and we did, and we've been able to distribute about just under 1,000 masks to businesses for their help as well. And that includes, whether it's I just dropped 20 off to the co-op store. We've had 10 go to a convenience store. So if you know of anyone that needs masks, we still have an inventory here that we can assist and get the mask out to. It's going to be interesting moving forward what happens with employment. As many of you know, before the pandemic, we were at 2.4% unemployment. Many of our manufacturers were having a hard time filling positions. It's going to be interesting to see how this situation opens up. I think it will open up the workforce development numbers for sure. I think you might see some individuals look for a little more security, maybe moving from the service industry and looking for something a little more secure with manufacturing or immigration or one of those. We're going to be watching that closely, see how that turns out. I would also say on this a week from tomorrow, we've coordinated a call with Congressman Welch, and that's focused mainly with the manufacturers to see what issues they have, how they foresee moving forward. And right now, I think we have 14 of our largest employers. They range from Mylan and Perigo, Vermont Precision Tools, Liquid Measurements. So there's the major ones, and we're still doing outreach to try to get more people on the call. So that's what we've been up to. It's definitely a diversion from what we usually do. We're still in discussions with some new businesses looking to come to the area, but as you might guess, a lot of things are on hold, and so we'll see where we are in the fall. I don't know if anyone had any questions for me.
I do, actually. So a few meetings ago, you were with us and we were talking about the airport infrastructure. since this COVID-19, of course, where do you think we stand as far as making this a success?
Hold on, Sharon. Let me check my crystal ball here.
Yeah, I know.
No, here's what I've said, and we have Jeff Carr on the line as well, so I'll be curious to get Jeff's feedback on this. And I'm putting my mayor hat on. I'm telling people I think the city of St. Albans downtown won't get back to where it was in July of last year, probably for 2 to 3 years. We're going to be aggressive in trying to assist businesses and bringing them in. You know, when we get into that airport discussion, the length of time to get some funding, you know, do the construction is probably going to be 2 to 3 years out anyway. So I think, assuming we get back to normal here before the end of the calendar year, I think not a lot would have changed. I mean, I tell people during the pandemic, most of our manufacturing remained open because they were essential. They were either a food producer or they produce medical products.
Right.
So we were fortunate from that perspective. So I think, and once again, I look to Jeff maybe when he gets on. It's going to be interesting to see if we pick up manufacturing from overseas. You know, based on what happened in China, will we find more domestic manufacturing? I think there's an opportunity for that for sure. And if we have the infrastructure in place, and keep in mind, I tell people this all the time, this isn't, once you have that infrastructure in place, you may not see anything for another 2 or 3 years. It's, you're planting an orchard and not a garden, and that you're going to reap benefits in 10 or 15 years from now.
Correct.
And Jim's been working, it's to Jim's benefit. I think he's playing coy with us, but I think he has some leads of some potential businesses that still may be interested. It sounded that way. So I would still say I'm optimistic. I think it's still a good project. And once again, I'm assuming we get a vaccine and we can get this under control and get back to somewhat of normal.
Now, what is the outlook for the businesses that you've been in contact with? Are people still optimistic?
Well, I think the ones that the spigot has opened and they have started to bring business in are, but the ones that the unknown, like, you know, I just talked to a dentist today. They're not sure when they will be able to start working on patients, hairdressers, barbers, more of that close contact individuals. I think they're a little more cautious, you know, but this will have an impact. Here in St. Albans, one Fed is out of business. They won't be coming back. And I think we'll see a number of those, but you know, I think the spigot was opened up in time for small construction and landscaping, where they'll be able to recover here, not quickly, but over time. I think they will.
Well, Godspeed to everyone. Hopefully, we come out of this stronger and wiser.
No, I agree with you.
And I agree, there is huge potential for the idea of more U.S. made products and manufacturing.
And it's interesting how a lot of companies have been able to retool to produce products that they may not have done before. And now if they continue, they may have another line of goods that they could make and possibly make them even that much stronger.
Yes. Okay, so I've been hogging the conversation. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for Tim? Heidi, unmute yourself.
I muted myself again for that phone ringing. We have, as Tim mentioned, a few other members of the committee on the line to talk about the airport issue. So we can jump into that if we're done with Tim's update, but I have to share something under public comment from Sue Coda
Okay.
before we get into that conversation. So were you through, Tim? Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Can I put my mayor's hat back on and add one public comment? And that is, I don't think many of us are able to do a Memorial Day celebration. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to all the communities to see if there's an interest in lowering flags to half-mast for the weekend. So here in St. Albans, we'll ask the schools, some of the convenience stores, City Hall, Taylor Park, the Railroad Building. Elizabeth is going to check with Swanton, but we'll get an email out and try to have a consolidated effort throughout the county to show a show of support for our veterans who have passed. So I guess I'd be curious to see if Highgate would be willing to join in on that and maybe do some outreach to your school and businesses to see if they would be willing to do the same.
Yeah, I think that would be fabulous. I know that Highgate is actually going to still lay their wreaths on our monument on Memorial Day as a sign of our I want to say support, but not really support, but our remembrance.
Yep.
So yes, I think that would be something we'd love to do.
So it's getting close, but as it gets closer, we'll be communicating with Heidi
Sure.
and all the other towns as well to see if we can have a uniform effort.
Okay. I think that would be nice. And I do want to say thank you very much. You also have retooled your organization to help. So thank you for you and your committee and your staff helping all of us get through this.
I never thought of that, Sharon, but you're right. I mean, we've had to set people up from working from home, and something we were not prepared to do, and we haven't had to do in the past. But you're right, we did in a small way retool.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sue Coda's comment, Heidi.
Well, I reached out to Sue because she hadn't participated in the last meetings, and so I just checked in on her, and she said, well, because I haven't been talking to a lot of people, I don't have anything to share. But she did want me to let you know that the state has been to the site on the banks on Monument Road, and they have confirmed they have the money. They're in the process of advertising the work, and it should be done this construction season as soon as contractors can start gathering, I guess.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay, so let's jump right into the airport infrastructure. And who do we have with us, Heidi?
Well, we have Tim, and we have Wayne Elliott, our engineer. We have Bethany Remmers from Regional Planning Commission, Elizabeth Nance from Swanton Economic Development and FCIDC, Jeff Carr, our economist, and I think that might be it.
Okay.
So I asked everyone to come because we had talked about the Northern Borders Grant at the last meeting. So I did get that information. I've talked with the committee. I've reached out to different funding sources. And you did get a spreadsheet or an update in your packet explaining briefly total project and what we could look at from Northern Borders. And I've also spoken with Vermont Community Development Program. They have a block grant We spoke today with EDA. What I'm hearing from these sources is that we should apply, that this is, there will be stimulus money, and they still have funds in these programs that are open right now. EDA is running on this pretty much the same timeline as Northern Borders. So it's open on a rolling basis, but they recommend that we apply soon if we want a place in their funding list. So I don't know if you had any questions on the information I gave you, but I wanted the committee to be here to answer any of your concerns that you clearly have already brought up. It's a very trying time to think about spending public money, but there would be a match. We do have Jim on the line too. I'm sorry I neglected to say that earlier, Jim. And Jim is also what? Pardon? So Jim has been a part of the project from the beginning, and he is feeling confident in moving forward and has committed to putting some of his own funds in to assist with the match. So, so that's where I will leave it, and I'll let you ask questions of any of us on the committee that you'd like to hear more from.
Jim? Jim Harrison?
Jim, can you hear us?
I got it now. Go ahead.
Okay,
Okay.
he heard you.
So tell us a little bit about what you're thinking in this interesting time we find ourselves in as far as your project going forward is.
Well,
Are you?
we tend to get serious about situations that we embrace. It took us 7 years to get the wind project permitted and built on Georgia Mountain, and we just opened up a quarry in Georgia. Took us 4 years to get that done. So the process is scary to us, and we have applied for our local permit in Highgate, realizing we do not have sewer or water potential, but we want to go as far as we can to just ensure that we have a project that can move forward. We tend to think that sewer and water probably will come, but it will be certainly some time, that's okay to us, actually. We probably will get permitted for on-site septic in a way that may work for warehouse situation, but for jobs or for manufacturing, we certainly need municipal sewer, no doubt. But we're committed, and we think it's great for the area. And with the runway extension, I think it, over time, I think it will be very positive.
Okay, it's great to hear your enthusiasm. So that eases my mind a little.
Well, we tend to be that way. You almost have to be this early, especially with what's going on in the world,
Right.
So we're committed. We're committed.
Maybe Jeff could chime in. You had some good points you mentioned to us when we chatted in our meeting the other day.
Well, this is everybody can hear me, I hope. This is clearly an interesting situation. It is really a public health crisis that has resulted in the kind of economic shutdown. We almost put the economy in a medically induced coma while we got past the first part of this this health crisis. And so, fundamentally, the economy was pretty sound going into the situation. And clearly, there's going to be some difficulties, particularly with certain types of industries like hospitality, transportation services, and those kinds of things. But at the same time, all these kinds of situations also give you opportunities. And I think the grant funding opportunity has actually been helped by the situation a little bit. And I think that over the long run, you're still positioned reasonably well to come through this out the other side with opportunities that you might not have had this not occurred. The old saying is, don't leave any crisis not taken advantage of. And so the economy will work its way through this. We do need a medical endpoint on this. Either we've got to have a vaccine or we've got to have a treatment that's got to get people past this issue of being concerned about their health. I don't know anybody that has made a living betting against U.S. industry to do those kinds of things. A lot of people have lost betting against America in that regard. And so I think what this gives us is an opportunity to go into this with our eyes open, but with even more, I think, potential and opportunities for funding for both parts of the project. Jim is right. The land adjacent to the airport will be limited without municipal wastewater. It'll be helped with municipal water, but and the state seems to be committed to widening and lengthening the airport, and they would prefer to see water and wastewater. So you've got one of the organizations that does have impact and input into the funding sources that we're going for, being supportive of doing both the water and the wastewater. And I think Tim is right. The sequencing of this is that the work and the funding are still 18 to 24 months out as it is right now. And we will have more clarity on this issue, I think, once we get through the next 6 to 12 months. And we'll see whether or not, is the virus mutating? Do we have effective treatment? Do we have, and a vaccine? And is the vaccine available enough so that people, will come back and participate in the economy and help with the town's economy, the St. Albans city economy, and those kinds of things in a way which we get back to some kind of reasonable normal. And so, as I said, I think at the meeting when we met with the Swanton Village trustees, this project still, to me, instead of narrowing an opportunity, still seems to be expanding in its opportunities. And now we seem to have a reasonable opportunity for some funding to get both pieces of the puzzle done at the same time, which will be the thing that will lay the groundwork for the highest economic return. You don't want to have Jim put warehousing in there. You want to have some high value, high paying jobs in there, as well as the opportunity to have some warehousing in there. And you only do that if you have both pieces of infrastructure.
Okay. And maybe, like you're saying, maybe there's opportunity for businesses that may have been in a more populated area that look at this crisis and say, maybe we want our employees and our business a little bit safer with a region that tends to be able to social distance.
And supply chains are changing. This is going to permanently alter supply chains, and those changes are going to make probably less sense to be global than doing more domestically and more, at least within the North American economy, because of our updated U.S., Canada, Mexico trade agreement.
Correct.
So I spoke with EDA today, and they have a very large pot of money And they've very much encouraged us to apply. It's a good project. And I think what I'm hearing is that we have done a few things to build a foundation that makes for a solid application. And one of them is that we didn't just get a feasibility study, we went the extra step to get the economist's prediction, which is a big part of the application, to be able to say that there's a prediction of jobs. Even cutting Jeff's estimate in half is still a very significant amount of jobs for our region. And additionally, we have applied for some funding to look at some planning concepts that could help us to create some funding streams, some sustainability in a potential TIF district, impact fees, and other concepts that could come out of that. So I'll just mention that one of the things that EDA, sorry, not EDA, VCDP also has a funding opportunity, but the challenge is that that airport area is not a designated growth area, and it's not a village area. So those are things that we should look at, perhaps doing in that planning. And that would actually make us eligible for the Clean Water Fund as well. We were on that forecast, not for funding this year, but for potential funding next year. But the fact that it's not within a designated village or growth area is a challenge.
So if we were to break this down, what are we talking for town investment? So what how much grant money do you think we're eligible for, and how much is the town, how much are we going to ask the town to produce?
So to do both projects, the water is $1,590,000 and the sewer is 1.8. So together it's a $3.4 million project. And there is a restriction with Northern Borders funds that we would not have more than 80% federal funding. So we could ask them for the maximum $1 million, and EDA can fund up to 50% of our project based on our distress level for our region. So 50%, so that would be 1.7 million. So that would actually take us right up to that 20%, leaving a $680,000 local fee, a local match required for us. Now, Jim, you have chimed in before and said that that is where you can assist.
Yeah, I want to make it clear though that we can certain amount of dollars for this project, but it is contingent on being played. And I think the matching funds can come after the fact. Is that right?
Well, that would be however you and the town create an agreement. So that is, as long as we had an agreement with you, I would.
Heidi,
Yes.
Heidi,
Sure.
can you repeat what Jim said? Because I couldn't hear him.
Okay, so Jim's saying yes, he would like to assist with the match, but his concern is that he doesn't want to put match in up front prior to having the services. So, and correct me if I'm misquoting you, Jim. So what he'd like to do is structure the agreement so that his contribution can come upon the installation. Is that correct, Jim?
I don't know. Heidi, I'm not sure I mean installation. I mean 100% proof positive that it's going to move forward. In other words, it would have to be contingent on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we would throw in $200,000 into the matching funds as long as it wasn't for studies or blah, blah, blah. It was for the real project happening.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that's where I'm from. We would do it prior to services being rendered on our industrial park, but it would certainly have to be contingent on a proof positive project.
Yep.
Yeah, that's certainly fair.
Yep. Did you hear that, Richard? Could you hear?
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay. So that would leave a $480,000 match for the town. And I'm unclear, maybe Tim would know, or Bethany, if there are other local sources that would not be federal funds that we could also use towards that match.
I'm sure we, very minor though, I'm sure FCIDC would have, something in that, assuming we rebound all right from all this, something in that 15 to 25,000 that could be contributed, but we're probably wouldn't be much more than that. But other local ones, nothing. I mean, the community foundation is getting more active in economic development. That may be one down the road. That may be a good one to have a conversation with. But beyond that, we can keep our eyes open, but I don't think there's anything that comes to mind.
I haven't had a chance to investigate VITA yet, and I don't know if you could give us some insight into that.
VITA's all loans. Usually, not usually, always a variable interest rate. Right now, they're in that 3.5 range. There is the water drinking fund through A&R, which is a fixed 3%. So these would be alternatives to bonds, would be my guess. And then there are, there's one that just slipped.
USDA also has a great.
USDA has, yeah. So there's,
great.
I mean, there's a lot we can still do homework on, but there's some options. Not all are grants, but some are, like the drinking fund could be 1 or 2%, depending on the process. And then there is the state infrastructure bank, which has money in it as well. That is low interest.
Do you want, Heidi, this is Wayne. Did you want me to add anything to that at all, or?
If you can, yes, please.
Sure. Yeah, so just to kind of add what Tim mentioned, so there's definitely possibility for loan money from the state. They do have a pot of money that's not tied to the federal dollars, and as Tim said, the water would be anywhere from 0 to plus 3%, 30 years. The clean water SRF for the sewer would be 30 years at 2%. We would need to make sure that there's eligibility for the project, as Heidi mentioned before. This isn't a designated downtown, so there's some things we'd have to work through with them for eligibility. There's also the Vermont Municipal Bond Bank that's available too. Their interest rate is kind of fluctuating now with the economic situation, but it's down at times as 2.5%. That'd be a 20-year term. But again, it's kind of jumping around now with the state of things. So there is loan money out there, and the amount of that's going to be really ultimately driven by how much grant funding you get from Northern Borders, EDA, and some of these other sources. USDA is an option out there, but those are federal dollars, and they do have both grant and loan money, and those could definitely be a backup to Northern Borders or EDA. They can offer up to a 45% grant on both water and sewer. They're very well suited and like these types of projects. The application can go in any time. However, they're tied to the federal fiscal year, which starts October 1st. So the applications are due, typically in December, middle of December, and you have to have a positive bond vote on the loan portion before they can issue a funding offer. So there's plenty of options out there. I think obviously what Heidi's doing is shaking the trees, trying to get as much grant money as you can. But there will probably have to be some small portion of loan money, even in the best case scenario. And could talk about how to handle that here a little bit later, end of summer, early fall, when you kind of see how some of the other funding sources fall in here.
I guess my concern would be making a commitment without more public input. If we're asking for the possibility of bonds or loans, I'd like to make sure that that money is approved by the voters. The more grant money we can get, obviously makes that process so much easier. I think this is a great project. I think we have great potential. But in hard times, we're going to have to swing it as far as monetarily. And I'd like to hear from Richard, Randy, Bruce. What are your thoughts?
First of all, Heidi, I think I misunderstood you sent out a paper. You said 680,000 would be for the town, and you said Jim 200. But so that wouldn't be 800. That was all together then, right? Jim,
we would be responsible for 480,000.
Okay, so I misunderstood. I thought it was a total with gyms and everything. I thought it was 880, but it's not.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. And my biggest concern is what the rest of the people in town of Highgate are think about this. Where we're going through hard times right now, and there's. Is there going to be the money out there, and what's it look for our community? People with jobs and stuff. I'm a little nervous. So.
Understandable. Yep. The benefit of the position you're in right now for the Northern Borders is you can apply with just a statement that you would put this in front of the voters. So you would have until September of next year to lock down a bond vote. So if Northern Borders gave you an award, then you would put it to a vote. If the voters said no, then we don't go any further.
So this wouldn't happen this November then? We wouldn't bring nothing to the voters this year?
Well, you could, if you know that you got the award, you could put it right in front of the voters, have the vote, and then we know to run out and get the EDA grant. Because we do need voter approval for the EDA grant. So if Northern Borders smiles on you, you can set up a vote, find out are the voters ready to do this based on the assumption that we will get another grant? And if so, you know, you ask for that commitment funds and then we apply and try to get more money.
So is there a chance, Heidi, that they won't smile upon us?
There's always a chance, Richard. Tim is the one with the crystal ball, not me. So I can't say that. I can say that what I'm hearing is this is a very good project.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you any more than that.
Okay.
And we haven't heard from Bethany. I don't know if she has anything to add. She's also got deep pockets too.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the only thing I was going to add was, and Tim already hit upon it, is, you know, that most likely there will be a role for loans in the funding package. But again, you're looking at how are you going to be building up your tax base and, you know, putting forth and making that investment so you're reaping the rewards for years to come when you're paying back that. So, you know, I never tell towns, you know, this is your only opportunity to apply for something, because it's just not the truth. But to Jeff's point, with this project, it just seems like things continue to line up for it. And a lot has changed since we were all together. I think it was the beginning of March, Heidi, when it was the Highgate Swanton Village meeting.
Yes.
Of course, we have a much different picture out there right now. But I left that meet. I haven't been to. It's been very rare to go to such a positive meeting and to see all the opportunities that are out there. And I think the opportunities are still there, even though we're in for another bumpy 12 months at least.
Okay. Randy, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I definitely share the concerns about the economic environment that we're in at the moment. My internet's been a little unstable, so I apologize if I freeze up. But I don't think there's any harm in you know, writing a letter of support for this grant opportunity. And I think the town's going to incur some costs, but I think long term it should be fruitful and pay us back in tax revenue and jobs, and you know, maybe property values go up, and I think all the way around it's a good thing. So it has my support.
Great. Bruce, are you with us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All we're talking about so far here is public funding sources.
Correct.
When this situation passes and we get on top of things, I think we're going to be looking at the equivalent of the dam gates opening. And we haven't even, nobody's talked anything about private funding or equity sources, which I think could be very substantial for something with this sort of potential. So I would be in favor of pursuing all of the public funding opportunities we can uncover.
Okay. All right. So does the board agree to go forward with this with the contingency of town vote if we were to get approved?
No.
What do we need for tonight to move forward? I don't see any kind of grant signatures needed. Do we just have to give like a letter of support to move this forward, Heidi, or?
Well, I have one more meeting before I submit, so it's due June 1st. So what I needed from you tonight was to say that you want to move forward with the understanding that you will need to put that issue to the voters sooner rather than later, so that we can then also get the balance of the funding on the hook.
So is
really
Kyle-
tonight, I'm sorry. So tonight we're asking to approve bringing this forward to the voters, basically.
Yeah, at the next meeting, I'll have all the forms for you to sign, and one of them will be the select board agrees that they are applying for this funding with the understanding that no more than 20% can come from federal funding, and that we will come up with the match.
So I'm in favor of putting this forward to the voters.
Okay. Bruce?
I'm in favor of running with this as hard as we can.
Okay.
Would you like a motion?
Please?
Also move.
A
second.
second.
Okay. Richard, any discussion?
No, just right now, I'm a little bit nervous. What's going on? I think I think we're moving too fast with what's going on right now. And a lot of things have happened since March, and I know I ride these roads in Highgate, and I hear what people are saying, and people are scared. And I think if we start, I think we got time to put this on hold right now and see what happens. This is strange times, and there's a lot of people in town of Highgate, if you don't go out there, are nervous right now. And, you know, I'd like to hear from people like Lisa and things like that before we start moving on here. And I'm scared, you know, and a lot of other people are too. My vote's no tonight.
Okay.
Lisa is here. She's with us if she wants to add anything.
I'll make a motion to allow Representative Lisa Hingo. Or can I make a motion while we have a motion?
No. Sorry.
I'm not sure you need a motion to have Lisa speak. I know we did that last time, but I think that's more for town meeting. Like Tim isn't a resident of
Right.
Highgate.
Okay.
Bethany's not a resident either. So I'm not sure that that's absolutely necessary.
I'm going to take that and run with it.
There you go.
So Richard, I hear you. I'm hearing from a lot of people that are nervous, and also hearing from a lot of business people that really want to be proactive and get things going in the state. So there's got to be some balance there, and it's okay to not have a unanimous vote. It's fine. Everybody needs to voice their opinion and to be heard. In general, development is a good thing when we're talking about a state that was suffering a little bit even before this pandemic in terms of business climate. I can't tell you all what to do, but I think there's probably nothing wrong with investigating it further. And certainly if you get to the point where you are voting, yes, we're going to apply, or no, we're not going to apply for this grant, then you should have a little bit more discussion with townspeople, especially when you get to the point of whether you're going to do the project or not. You certainly need input from residents, taxpayers. So I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, boy. I wish I could tell you what was coming down the pike, but I can't. We're all in this together, and we're going to make some decisions that aren't so popular, and we're going to make some other ones that are going to be all right. So you're okay saying no, Richard. I've known you for
Okay. Well, I was hoping that you had a crystal ball. But.
Yeah, I really wish I did. I'm sorry. But I don't really have very much to offer tonight. I'm just listening in, and I'm glad I chose tonight though, because I wanted to know more about the project. So it's good. Thank you for letting me speak.
Oh, thank you. And keep up the good work. So we have a motion to move forward with this project. Or move forward with the idea of this project and bringing this to the voters. So I'd like all those in favor to say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed.
No.
Okay. So the thing I will tell you, Richard, is I understand that everyone is scared. And I'm not gonna go forward without believing this is a good idea.
I just, Sharon, I just have a different outlook than I had the 1st of March, you know.
Sure.
I just, you know.
Well, I think
That's
we all
okay.
do for sure. We
Yeah,
all do.
absolutely. But I think I don't mind investigating a little further. I don't think we're committing anything yet. We're just checking it out a little further, going a couple more steps to see what we can accomplish. And if that means that at the end of this we can't accomplish that, then we have to walk away. But if we can, some things take risk, and I guess we'll have to determine whether that risk is appropriate now. So Heidi, let's go a little further. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you for enlightening us, and thank you for keeping up with our project, and we look forward to working with you some more.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Come on, folks.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so moving on. Treasure update. Shelley.
Hello.
So,
I don't have a whole lot to update. Working from home is very different than working in the office. Was there any questions on the check warrant?
I had one question. There was a line item for the hood being clean.
Yep, that's annual.
Yeah, we don't usually pay it out to the leasee, right? Don't
We
usually?
always have.
Okay. But so.
Because they must be cash on, you know, they must require payment when they get there.
So does Judy hire them?
Judy used to Rael and Mary LaRush had always used to clean it. And I don't know how long, maybe the town had hired them before Rael and Mary were doing the snack bar. But as far as I've been here, as long as I've been here, we've paid whoever was running the snack bar back. They've paid to get the hood cleaned when it was time.
So do we know who cleaned the hood?
Worthington,
and if
yep.
they're certified and.
Oh yeah, yeah. I get their actual bill, but it's been paid at the time of service. It's Worthington, Worthington Chimney and Exhaust Systems, and they're out of Montgomery. But they've been doing it every year for as long as I've been here.
Thought I had the check warrant. I do. Here it is. What was the total amount of that? 520?
I want to say 550.
I just want to make sure we're following our purchasing policy. And I can't remember the amount of money at which we need to get quotes. And it just jumps out at me that it, you know, is the person that's leasing it that we're paying to clean on paper.
Oh, I just had it right here. It's $550.
Do you know the amount off the top of your head for the purchasing policy?
I thought it was 5,000, but I could be.
Okay. So that's quite a bit less than 5,000. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
I'll look it up right now.
I think I agree. I think it is 5,000. It used to be
It just
2,000 and we just bumped it up.
struck me as odd that we don't take care of that, I guess. But if it seems to be working, then
Well,
maybe
you
it's
know
not
what I
so
think
odd.
happened is when Maha was running it, but they were leasing the snack bar from Maha, but we were still the landlords of the building. So as part of the maintenance, the town covered that cost. So whoever was running, like Rael and Mary were running it for Judy and Alan. And as soon as it was time to be cleaned, they would just take care of it and then bring the bill to the town to be reimbursed.
Is that something you think we should do, or never come up on an audit, I guess? So,
You know, they know more on their health inspections when it needs to be done, probably more than someone in the office. And I know it's done every year. I don't know.
hopefully that hood gets some use soon, or in the fall.
Yeah, yes. So I guess I would trust that who's in there and knowing when it needs to be done and passing their health inspections. I would leave it up to them. I would want to be responsible for them to fail a health inspection because I forgot to.
Well, the hood's not a health inspection item though, right? That's a fire.
I don't know.
That's fire code, I think, more than anything.
I think there's two separate things that happen. I think that we have an inspection of the hood to make sure that it is functioning with the fire alarm. And then I think there's a separate cleaning. I think
This is the cleaning.
Yeah, part of our contract is that I think the town is responsible for the cleaning. And we did, there is another inspection, I think, to make sure it's tied in or working with the fire system that I think we connected that a few years ago.
Yeah, this is for the cleaning. And they usually do it as soon as the season's over. That way it's not sitting there full of grease.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for the check warrant? If not, can I have a motion to sign the check warrants at a later date, but to approve the checks to be sent?
I'll make a motion to approve the checks to be sent and to sign at a later date.
Do I have a second? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, Shelley, while I have you, with what's going on now and with people being nervous and scared, some people being out of work, there's a possibility that we will have less tax income this year.
I'm hoping that's not the case, but it's always a possibility.
Yeah, I think we need to think about that, about what we can, watch our finances really close.
Mm-hmm.
See what we have coming into the future. Now, the tax money that's collected this year goes to this year's budget or next year's budget?
When we collect in November,
yes,
that is covering what the budget season we're already in. So July 1 through June 30.
Okay.
So we collect a few months into our budget.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll have to keep that in mind.
Next year.
Well, yeah.
It's this
Even
fall,
now,
really.
yeah, even now to
Mhm.
make sure that everybody stays within their budget, that, you know, if we get to a point where our budgets are getting out of control for the time of year, that we'll have to closely watch that.
Mhm.
And by all means, if someone has their tax money now, can they still pay you?
Absolutely. I have, some people have used their stimulus money to send in a check. Or maybe it was a tax refund, whichever, but there's been some payments that are again going towards the next year's bill. I've only had one cancellation of the automatic payments, so that's a
good.
positive. Yep. And everybody else that's on automatic payments. Luckily, nothing's, you know, bounced or been non-sufficient. So
yeah,
I'm willing to work with anyone that needs some extra help for sure.
Yeah. And I think too, you know, that's important for people to know, that if you think times are going to be hard for you, you know, to reach out, set up a payment plan now, so that you don't become, you know, in arrears.
That's right. Get ahead of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Small payments make a big difference.
Yes. Yes, and it gives people that option of knowing that they're not going to lose their home, they're not going to lose things in this time of crisis.
Right.
Okay, so that was just a check-in to make sure we're all on the same page, that we may have financial hardship coming, just like the state is seeing now. So, okay. Thank you very much. Is there anything else?
I can't think of anything right now. Said
Okay.
It's been pretty isolated at home.
Okay. All right. So moving on to Wendy, Town Clerk's update.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. You have minutes from April 16th.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of April 16th?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
I wanted to chat. I sent you all some information on our potential rabies clinic, if you're still okay with having that, the location change that I proposed, and the time change.
Okay. And I know that you are thinking about using the arena.
I did have the rec committee talk about it at their meeting on Monday. Because there is no turf, Joe made it pretty clear to me he was not interested in having it in the fire station this year, so that would have left us with Public Works or the park.
Right.
Having the full ice surface, we can really spread people out, and the parking situation is better. Because surrounding towns have canceled their clinics, I think we're gonna get hammered. I think it's gonna be super busy. So the vet suggested starting at 9 instead of 10.
Okay. So she and you and Shelley are comfortable doing that in the arena, and
Yes.
Okay.
I have 4 members from the fire department that have offered to help. And Richard, you usually help if you want to come.
Yeah.
2 rec committee members. Kyle also offered to help that day, just to help with traffic and
Sure.
keeping people properly spaced, and just so it goes smoothly, because I know it's going to be busy, and I'm worried what will happen if we don't host a clinic. That's going to create
Yes.
a whole nother problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a go as far as I'm concerned. Board, what do you think?
Do it.
Richard?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Randy?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
So
So
what's the date on that?
It's
May
a
16th.
week from Saturday, May 16th,
Okay. Okay.
from 9 to noon at the arena. And I did do a flyer, but I haven't started blasting it. I wanted to talk to you all first.
okay.
This will definitely fall or be compliant with the governor's orders, because I haven't been following all the governor's orders, but right now I think it's groups of 10 or less.
Yeah, I don't know if this would really be considered a gathering. I don't look at it that way.
I guess I would just want to be sure that this is, not out of compliance.
Maybe 10
Well-
people in the building at once. You
Yeah,
know,
and we have the ability to do that. We definitely do, to space them out. I mean, I talked with Dan about marking every 6 or 8 feet, whatever he wants to do on the concrete, and only allowing so many people in at a time. Hopefully the weather's decent, but you never know.
right.
We definitely, I think it's our best option. If the turf was down, it wouldn't be an option for us this year, but I think I need to take advantage of the opportunity that there's no turf down. And the rec committee was fully supportive of it, so I'd like to make the best of it, and all hands on deck. So if any of y'all are free and want to come help properly space people, that would be great.
Yeah, that's, I think if you guys are comfortable with being able to comply the best we can
Yep.
and to protect people the best we can, yourselves included, I'm good with that.
Okay. Very
Can I
good.
have a motion just for the record?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion?
Just a couple more comments. Do you think we'll need to bring any PPE or, face masks or, hand sanitizing, or I don't know.
I have some disposable masks already, and I did order 50 more of the disposable kind. The ones we got from Tim at Franklin County Industrial Development are cloth. I mean, we don't need 50 of them at the office, but I did get them, so those are an option for us to use if people show up without them. It is on the flyer that we're requiring it. I have plenty of hand sanitizer to bring, so that shouldn't be an issue. Gloves, I don't have any gloves. I mean, I could take some Melandis's, but those are a different kind of glove.
Oh, Wendy,
Yes.
if you will bring some Melandis's, I need those kind of gloves for
What
what
you're
I'm
gonna-
going to be doing that day.
Okay, I know what you're gonna be doing. That's why I want you there, Richard. Okay. I'll bring you some. Thank you.
Okay.
Randy, I think we're good. What do you think, Shelley?
I think as long as you're going to post that masks are required, and if we bring some for the people that don't have it, yeah, the best we can do is line them up outside. I mean, we could line them up all the way around the rec path if we had to, just to keep social distance. But I agree with Wendy, the aftermath, if we don't have a rabies clinic, is going to be worse than having it.
And maybe you just don't let them out of the cars.
Right.
Just, only so many people can be at the door, only so many people can be inside, and the rest of them can't be out of their cars until you're called.
Well, I think I'm gonna meet with, I told Dan I'd be in touch and maybe we could, properly distance, but get together one night next week over at the arena and just like map it out, how it's gonna work and how we see this working so that we're not looking and feeling really frustrated on Saturday morning. So,
Right, we have a plan.
yeah, we'll have a plan.
Say cones
Joe-
or taping
Joe-
or something like that may be helpful.
Yeah.
It sounds
you
like
say?
we may get a lot of people. Cones, if you had
Yeah.
cones, or I don't know if tape would really apply to the ground.
I mean, I have my voting booth things too, we could string out if I needed to use those.
They have 2 separate doors. They can have an entrance and an exit so people aren't passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
One-way traffic.
Go right through. So,
Right,
Wendy,
right.
Yeah,
when are you gonna meet next week? Is there any way I can join that?
absolutely. I'll call your house and speak to you personally when we figure it out. I was thinking maybe like Wednesday or Thursday next week as it gets closer. We should know by
Okay.
then what the weather's gonna look like too, so.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank
for
you.
sure. I'd love to have you there. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, so
Do you know roughly how many people we get on a regular year?
Hundreds.
Couple hundred.
So we could easily go way above that, right?
Yes.
Swanton canceled theirs, so.
Right.
okay.
Okay, so that's on that. So I'll send out a blast email about next week, and Richard, I'll call you.
Can we vote on this?
Yes. So all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to talk to you all. Shelley and I have talked about opening the office back up for appointments for title searching, starting on the 18th, which is a Monday. If you had any comments, questions, concerns, sounds like there may be some concern about things. Sharon, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few people approach and ask, why isn't it open yet? Now that we've gone to 10, I think we're more comfortable. And like I said, I think in our situation, we're fortunate because you have lots of room so you can be spread out and not have to be close to your neighbor as if we had more employees. So hopefully that'll keep everybody nice and safe, as well as in the office, so people can see that, things are improving, things are better, things are starting to go back to normal.
So Sharon, is everybody in that office coming back, all 6 or 7 of them? Or just a couple at a time, or how are you gonna work that?
Well, I'm talking about me and Shelley on the 18th. I can't speak for anybody else.
Okay, well, I was just seeing if we were gonna bring everybody back or just a couple, or I'm waiting for an input from Sharon.
I would, if you just give me a second.
Okay.
Stop talking, Richard.
Okay.
So you have your zoning administrator who comes in twice a week. So you still have enough space for her because you know where her desk is. Amy and Pete, I'm not sure what their schedule is like at the moment. I don't know how their grand list is coming. But they would have to comply with the social distancing. And by all means, if people are more comfortable wearing masks, I think that's a great option. And if Wendy said she had a few extra, that's good.
What about the folks coming in?
That's the issue. It's
Are you
not
going
the
to require,
employees.
right? You should probably put a sign up. I mean, I think I haven't again reviewed the governor's orders, you know, thoroughly, but I think they're requiring face masks to be worn. So.
And our thought is actually to still have the door locked until June 1st and be by appointment only, so we can control the amount of people in the office.
Yes.
You're gonna get some people banging at the door.
Yes, we are. So if we can at least control the flow of traffic until June 1st or until the governor's orders are completely open.
And then I know a lot of stores are doing the plexi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's an option or needed or wanted. I just want to make sure.
Some other town clerks have looked into it, and it's about $250. I don't know if that's something like the sneeze guard to go on the counter in between. I don't know.
We don't have a sheet of plexi laying around. You can just hang.
I sure we could. Might not look good.
Throw it all out.
I just want to make sure if you're being asked to go back to the office that you feel comfortable with it and you're protected.
And I'll speak for myself that there's not much benefit for me going back at this time. I'm not going to be letting anybody in, so people can talk to me. I'm getting messages immediately on my email, and been holding meetings all day. So the more people that are in that office, I'm assuming the same thing for Amy and Pete, because they're not going to be accepting application or appointments for people to come in, because you know they can pretty much solve everything over the phone. And I'm thinking people that are coming in, there supposed to be a temperature check, and they definitely are supposed to be masks. And I think that the standard is that the bathrooms would be cleaned at the start of the day,
times a day.
There's a lot to comply with the governor's
right.
order that it doesn't make sense to just put us all in there for things that we can do at home. So because it's going to be quite cumbersome.
We're hoping
public break rooms are not supposed to be open, so technically we wouldn't be using the kitchen. So, you know, there's a few pieces that just don't work very well yet.
No. And we are hoping some of like the temperature taking, maybe that will be relaxed by Monday the 18th. If not, I'm not sure what I don't have a thermometer. I guess, does the town buy one?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
And then
because I know when I go to work, they check my temperature even at the school. So
yep. And
I think you girls should have your temperature checked when you go in. You don't have a problem with it, yeah?
I not myself.
Is it our temperatures or the people coming in?
Yes.
I'm talking about the people coming in.
Coming in, but
yeah.
But you should also check your own too.
Yeah, right. And it's you know, it's opening a can of worms because everybody runs a different temperature. I always run low, so I'm gonna guess you run hot, Richard.
I do. I am right now.
Yeah, just a guess. But so there's those things too. You know, you're kind of putting people in a spot where they're judging the health of the community. So the longer we can get that off, the better.
So I mean, you don't have, Wendy and Shelley don't have to be in there at the same time. If they wanted to do one does one day and one does another day, I think that's fine too.
Sharon, I'd like to make a motion that we leave it like it is. You know, Wendy's going in, Shelley's going in. Let's just keep doing it the way it is. There hasn't been many complaints, has there?
I've had a few, yeah.
Oh,
What are they not getting? Did they specify, Sharon?
Just the biggest complaint I've had so far basically is with zoning. And I think that it's just because they don't want to reach out to Samantha, as opposed to just walking in and seeing her and having her help them. I think that's the biggest thing.
She's also set up for remote. If someone left a message, she would get back to them. And she's been going in on Fridays when her husband is home with the baby and processing.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I mean, things are still operating. Anything Amy can't do from home, she's in the office. Anytime I've been in there, it's very rare that I'm there alone. Someone else is usually there doing something for someone at the same time.
Okay.
I had to go in Tuesday to scan your packets and was there for several hours because it's just not something I can achieve at home, but most of the work I can do at home.
Right.
So are
I
we
think we have a
opening,
motion.
are we opening just for researchers? Are we staying the
Home,
same?
close?
What are we doing?
I
What are we
think
doing?
Richard made a motion to continue status
from
quo
home?
for now, right?
yeah.
So I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, those nay. And I'm gonna abstain. Okay, so Bruce,
Yeah,
were you in yay?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
So is there a
So-
date, a definitive date, or just we'll revisit it at the next meeting? What are we
Keep-
doing?
Keep following the governor's orders.
Yes.
I
That's
think
what
we
I
have to
said.
follow. We just have
Yeah.
to see what happens. Shelley's frozen.
At this time,
Okay, so we'll revisit it at the next meeting. That
am I still frozen?
everyone?
You froze for a moment there.
Oh, okay.
I think if things change drastically, we can just call a special meeting and adjust on the fly if needed.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
So,
that's it for me.
okay. Heidi,
Okay. Just as a continuation of the grant discussion, so this page was in your packet, and this is the funding forecast for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and there is money set aside in that for both of our wastewater projects. The airport, with that caveat I said before, that because it's not a designated area, it would be tough funding. But also for our Village Core Master Plan project, that was on the list for two-year funding, 600 and some odd $1,000. So that's good news for the Village Core, that when we get the results of our wastewater project, we can look at how to address that for development. The Macy Road Stabilization Project, I just put that on there so I could mention the next meeting on the 21st is the next required meeting for the Macy Road Stabilization Project. We had delayed that because of our inability to meet face-to-face and technology issues for some people. So, but we have sent a packet to the two landowners that are at the site, the Youngs, so they have the plans in their hands. Gary told me he received it today. So we will be having John Svagdis from DeWolf present the latest information on that project on the 21st. So anybody who wants to can participate. The B25 parking issue. So I mentioned this last time. The state had noted that during their inspection, and we had also received a safety complaint. People are parking in that spot that the town now owns, where there used to be a corner store, a tenant house. So people are parking there. So put all this information in your packet. The state's proposing erecting those delineators and putting up no parking signs. And in perpetuity, it'll be a no parking. But they've asked that the town of Highgate accept that we own that property. We will own those bollards. We will be on the hook for maintaining them as well.
So Heidi, is it happening just at night? I went up there looking and I didn't see no cars there.
It's all the time. I see it all, every time I drive through.
Because I went up there today and I didn't, maybe I was looking in the wrong place, but
It's
I didn't.
the Macy's rental right there,
Yeah.
facing 78 on the left, and they there often.
Yeah, well, this picture
More
is
often
during
than
the
not.
day. You know,
Yeah.
it's clearly during the day that they took this picture, and that red car is in the town property.
Okay. So
Um,
I went, it looked okay today, so,
Yeah.
but
Are
I
those
went up
bollards-
today.
Sorry.
Pardon?
Are those bollards going to actually keep the cars off the green?
Well, the bollards, the no parking sign, and they asked us to communicate that to the landowners. So I put a
Well,
letter in your packet for approval.
how about a woven wire fence? Because I don't think bollards are going to keep people from not parking on it.
So this is just what the state had suggested. So based on their MUTC standards. So if the town wanted to do something else, I could mention that to them. I'm not sure that that is what they would want to fund with the project money.
My other question is, have we actually reached out to the tenants or the landowner just to ask them politely not to park there?
Not as of this date, no. No, so that's what I am seeking tonight is the town's approval for this plan and for the letter. And then I will reach out to the landowners and communicate to them and follow up with a letter that we can file in the land records that the property is not to be used for parking.
Heidi, excuse me, where is the problem happening?
At the intersection of Route 78 and Macy Road, where the old DeSorcy store was. The town, town purchased that property for the project and then it was torn down.
Oh, okay, yes.
There was also a design in the packet. So what says the board? Do you want to move forward with this?
So do I have a,
I'm iffy about it. I hate to put ugly bollards. I don't know. It's not like it's a pretty, you know, intersection, but
Well, it
are
could,
the plows going to take them out, or you know, they'll probably get damaged, and then we'll have to fix them. I don't know.
I think to start with, we have Heidi write a letter to the landowners and see what we can do there. And if that don't work, we move on.
I would probably say that bollards would hold up better than a fence. I've seen what the plow did or a car did to the fence on the opposite side. But if you don't want anything there, that's another option. You could just go with the parking signs, I guess. I think that communicating with the landowner is fine, but there's nothing saying that that's going to stop people that don't live in that building from parking there as well.
Right, I understand, Heidi, but I'd like to be a good Samaritan first before I get do other things, see what they say, they might go along with you.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's not going to stop someone that's coming to fish on the river that wants to park there, So
okay.
We would want some kind of signs. Just give me a direction and I'll follow it. If you want to hold off on any information, we can do that.
So do we want to have Heidi send the letter and then revisit this at the next meeting?
I'm in favor of doing that.
Randy?
The letter seems really super, official. I don't know. I would, if my neighbors had a problem with me, I prefer they give me a call, or Bruce, give me a call if you have an issue with me. I don't know. Don't send me a letter, Bruce. Just come talk to me. That's just me.
Can do that too.
Yep.
I absolutely agree. I think it makes sense for the town to have some sort of documentation that they don't want parking on that. So maybe it's something we could add into that traffic ordinance, or put something in writing that says you don't want parking there.
Can you make it a tow zone? If somebody's car gets towed, they're probably not going to park there again. And if the residents that are having issues or the surrounding neighbors are having issues, and call the tow number.
So we definitely can start with a phone call. I think that's a great place to start. I mean, that definitely was my intention, is to start with a phone call. But I had thought it would be beneficial to have something in the land records that says we've discussed this, there's no parking allowed.
I'm also not opposed from having a no parking, put a no parking sign there.
So if the bollards are installed by the state, it will be, I believe the arrangement would be that it would come out of the match funds from the project. If you decide at a later time that you want to install the bollards, it would be at your expense and on a similar scale to what we paid for the town garage, which was $16,000 for one side. So they don't come for free.
Well, I think the bollards at the town garage were to protect the building. I don't see, this isn't really protecting anything. I just think they're ugly. And a little overkill, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I mean, you do have it's an attractive little piece of property right on the river. It could at some point be more of a green space. There could be flower pots there. There could be a bench. It could be an attractive little place. So I see your point. If you don't want to surround it by bollards, then let's not take that route.
That is my vote. A call and a no parking sign. I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So what's Bruce's? Bruce said no, but I don't know what's his feeling about it.
I don't think bollards or signs are going to be adequate.
Okay.
If a fence isn't going to work, put up guardrails.
Okay.
I mean, that might be fitting right there because it is a dangerous corner. So I took your motion to mean that you don't want a letter to go to them.
Agree.
Yes?
Right.
Okay. We have a purchase and sale agreement that you had approved previously. And it went to the attorney. She's reviewed it. She added the couple things that I mentioned, and Fish and Wildlife has approved it. So it was in your packet. I'm looking for you to accept this, and only Sharon is required to sign it, so I can bring it to her for signature if you approve it.
Hey, have you all had a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
I would move to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure what's going on in town, but that was MEI telling me that the library has an interior alarm going off.
Well, I had heard that the library's battery was low and it needed to be replaced. We called to have a replacement battery, so that may have something to do with it.
I don't know.
Aaron,
Yes.
there was nothing at the town clerk's office. All the windows are still intact. The doors are closed.
Well, that's so far so good.
Richard, I'm going to pull you in on this next one, the paving grant. I would have to have your approval this evening to apply for a paving grant. And
Yep.
I have not seen any information yet.
So I went to talk to Bush again today, but he wasn't in because of his mom. So what they've said, you know, what I've got out of him a little bit was the rest of Gore. That's what you wanted, places, right?
Well, I have sent several emails to Butch and to Randy Reed, the estimator. Has there been communication to him so he can put an estimate together?
Okay. I think there was, but I'll check again.
Because I'm not sure that there has been, because he asked me a while ago. So.
Okay, I'll check again on that. I thought it was taken care of, but I thought they talked to you, and because Butch told me different roads, so.
Right, but we actually need him to connect with the estimator and tell him exactly what he wants, so that we can get the price for the grant.
Okay.
So I would have to submit before your next meeting. So they're due on the 15th. I'd have to have something in enough time that I could put the application together. So the board can. Pardon?
Okay, so I'll go see him Monday, and I'll get back to you between time I see him and noon on Monday. Okay.
That works for me, but does that work for the board, that you would want me to proceed with the application for a paving project For the maximum amount is $175,000. So if you would like me to proceed with this before your next meeting, you can make that motion to that effect.
Talking to Butch and Nick and stuff, they didn't seem like that is something. I know we last meeting we agreed, was it last meeting or meeting before, we agreed to go ahead with this, but from talking with them, they didn't seem like we would get any money for that. And Butch talked to somebody, and I don't know what you know, or because they didn't think, because apparently you don't get it every year, and we've got it the last couple years.
That's true.
Am I making sense, or?
You're making sense, but if you don't apply, you don't get it. So
okay.
There's a possibility
so the way I understand it, what's that, Sharon?
There is a possibility that we might get it.
Yeah.
And this isn't for this year or even next year. It's for the year after, basically.
Okay. So I'll get right on that, and I'll sit Butch down and we'll have a discussion.
It's worth applying for, Richard. It's a lot of extra paving.
It's what?
It's a lot of extra paving. If they were to be awarded, then they could get, another quarter mile, or paving's expensive, so every little bit counts.
Okay, I'll get right on this, and I'll go see him Monday morning, and then I'll get back to you, Heidi.
Okay. I've tried to connect them with Randy a few times, so he's the piece. Like, he'd have to be able to come out and give us an estimate.
Okay, Randy, what's his last name?
Randy Reed. I'm happy to forward his information or call him, but.
Remind me, Heidi, is he the new Jim Smith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're moving off that topic. So the other thing that I had in your packet was the traffic ordinance. So started a little project and thought, well, I'll just bring the traffic ordinance forward by adding in a couple new roads. And it morphed into something very different. As you can see by the summary I attached to it, it's been a lot of work. I've met with the listers, and I met with Public Works, and then they went around and double checked where you have stop signs, where you have yield signs. So you can see the summary is several pages. I noticed that our old list had some duplicate numbers, which is confusing. And so I don't anticipate we would have time to go through that tonight, but I wanted you all to see the recommended changes so that some of you may have different information, and you could, point something out. I shared it with Richard Noel as well.
I got his right here. I haven't got it to him yet.
Oh, okay. He did ask for the paper copy. Oh, he was going to stop by and pick it up.
Because the Butch gave it to me yesterday, and he gave me some stuff for Sharon. I had Sharon stuff that delivered, but haven't got to Richard yet.
Okay, well, he has seen it electronically. He's already made some comments. He thought that some things were incorrect. So some time to look over those details is a good idea. And anybody can comment There's some unknown roads. Don't know what happened to them. They disappeared. So we can talk about that on the 21st if you want to put, we can put it back on the agenda.
Okay, let's put it back on the agenda.
Okay.
Anything else?
That is it for me.
All right, so for select board, we have a request that signs similar to real estate signs where you have the picture of the realtor. They'd like to put the senior class, those children that are from Highgate, they'd like to do a sign for each of those children and put it up in the park. And they're asking for our permission.
I think it's a great idea.
Bruce?
Is that a motion, Richard?
Yeah.
I'll
All right, I'll
second that.
it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. The census. Try to get your neighbors, make sure all of the townsfolk have the opportunity to complete their census for 2020 because that is very important information. It helps with our grants and helps with the federal funding that we get. So it's very important to be counted. So please reach out and make sure everybody is completing their census. They can do it online. They can do it by mail. So try to get those done so that Highgate can be well represented.
I did forward you an update from Census today. I think they're going to be resuming some of their field activities soon, so they may be able to do more actual outreach before too long.
Okay. The other
Sharon,
thing, yes,
are you all done with the census? Talking about it?
yeah,
Okay. I'd like you to go back to the park.
yes.
I'm a little bit disgusted with the park. I don't think we need four-wheelers and dirt bikes. We had people clean that park and we keep asking them, the cops, to stop them. We need to do something. We don't need four-wheelers and dirt bikes going around in circles.
Which park?
The main park right here in the Highgate Center.
Okay.
You know,
They're also going
it's time to stop.
park.
Plenty of time.
Lynn's agreeing with you, Richard.
Good, thanks, Lynn.
You bet.
Yeah, I've noticed a severe uptake in the ATV riders. I'm sure sure some of it's because people are antsy to get out. But yeah, they're becoming more than a nuisance. They're becoming a hazard.
I was meeting with Michelle at the library this morning, and certain tenants have used Flatiron Park as a shortcut to the mobile with their wheelers. And
yes,
they went by several times.
Okay.
We have communicated this to St. Albans Police Department.
I've also talked to them when I seen them in town, you know, because I just think that's the place where people should be able to go and sit and shouldn't have to worry about those things.
Right.
I even asked them what would they do in the park in the city. They said, Richard, it wouldn't happen. Well, don't let it happen here either.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. There's plenty of place to ride. Don't need to be on the park.
Yeah, I agree. So, speaking of the St. Albans Police, I'm sure we've heard of their most recent issues. Heidi has reached out to them. The Dominic St. Cloud has reached out to us. Chief Taylor's reached out. So they are trying to clean house and clean up their processes. So they are changing some of their procedures and updating them and trying to get a better handle on people that are employed by them. So for now, that's all I can tell you about that, but I can tell you that they are working on it. And then finally for me, I'd like to give our thoughts and prayers to Mike Lambert and his family for the loss of his wife. It was a tragic accident, and so unnecessary, it's terrible. But to his family, friends, we are very sorry for your loss. Are there any other select board items or any public comment?
I have one, Sharon.
Sure.
There's been quite a few calls and stuff, and people in town that have, we've gone to your urban. I think we've also done the Jolly some. As far as the fire department and stuff, them stores in town, all three of them really. I think we've got to recognize them with a plaque or something. I know Heidi sent out a letter, but I want to say I really appreciate it at times. When we have a fire or something, and in these stores, all three of them step right up and help us and donate stuff. And I think it's time we recognize these stores with plaques, or something, and say thank you. I just and anytime I've been in there and asked for coffee or donuts or any of the three stores, they've been grateful. And I just think we need to take the time and recognize them.
Okay,
Are you saying this should come from the fire department?
No, I think it can come from the fire department, but I think as a select board, I think it should. I think we need to know that we see them too. That the select board sees them. That's my feeling. I don't know. Maybe you guys have another approach to it. I just think I don't know. I'm open for comment or whatever.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Richard. Those businesses in town that support the community and its efforts certainly need to be recognized. I don't know how you want to do that. I know Heidi had written a letter to send to them. Do you want to do more than that?
I think to recognize them with a plaque, and I'm not just saying fire. Some of these stores, when we have lose somebody or something big, these stores seem to step up and help our community. And I think as a board, I think we need to thank them with some kind of little plaque. And I think all three stores that we have there do that. And even while we're at it, I think McEwen's in a lot of ways helps us out.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's my feeling. I just appreciate these people, even right now with this going on. This community, these stores, David, they go out and deliver food, and they'll help you any way they can. And I'm glad I live in this little town of Highgate. I'm pretty proud of it.
Yep.
You know, you know,
I think anything like that's a very fine idea. I'm wondering if, Richard, maybe you could work with Heidi a little bit and come up with some text that we could actually vote on. And some kind of, if you like plaques, some kind of a design for a plaque that we could get some prices on.
I'd get behind that. And we also have to kind of come up with a list of the businesses and folks that you wanted to present with these.
Okay.
Well,
And
that, go
Just
ahead.
pick some verbiage out of your letter that would sound good on a plaque or read well.
I can help you too, Richard.
okay.
Well, speaking of plaques, we should talk about the one that Kyle got an estimate for. The size and the wording was in the packet. And he was asking for the board's approval for that amount.
Okay, so has everyone had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to accept that.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Good. And I wanted to just double check with you. So Swanton Village had approached us about could they use our brush depot when they pull limbs and such off the dam rather than having to drive it way out to their site, the other side of Swanton. And so the conversation was in your packet. I don't have an amount yet. I did run it by Butch. I just wanted a little more information. So I should be able to have more information for you next time, but is that something that you would entertain anyway?
I would be fine with that.
Seems
Generally,
practical to me.
do we know what the
I'm okay.
capacity is over there, or what happens to that brush after it just sits there?
We can manage it as we need. We can chip it. We can, distribute it, or we can even burn it if we call the state ahead of time. So as needed.
Do you need a motion? If so, I'll make a motion to allow Swan to bring their brush over to the Highgate Brush Depot.
Can't
Okay.
hear Heidi.
I did that. I'll come back to you with some more of a clear estimate on what kind of poundage we're talking about.
Okay, so do you want to rescind your motion and table it until next time?
So, okay with my motion.
You're okay with your motion? You're
Yes.
I didn't.
Yeah, okay, so do I have a second?
Could you, Randy, rephrase your motion? I couldn't hear you. You broke up.
Sorry, I guess my internet's not very stable. I just made a motion to allow Swan to bring their brush over to the Highgate Brush Depot.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'd modify it just to say that that's the debris from the dam.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree to that.
Okay. So all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else?
So you were supposed to have Michael Casella visit you for contract negotiations, but he was unable to come. So I think we'll look for him at the next meeting. But I still have a personnel issue for you, just a carryover from the last meeting.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn this regularly scheduled select board meeting and enter into executive with Heidi and Shelley.
I will sign off and I won't be included in any of this. Thank you, everybody.
See you
Good night.
later.